Now, Noah, I would be remiss if I did not talk about your experience over at spring training covering the Dodgers. If you don't know, well, I'll let you take it away. What were you doing over there?
Yeah, so I work for Dodgers Nation, #1 fan site for the Dodgers. Obviously, I'm covering the Dodgers there. So I was at spring training for 10, 11 days. It was really cool. If you've never been to spring training, I do recommend you go. If you're going for that long, you might get a little crazy because Arizona does not have great food, no offense. At least Glendale didn't. Not a lot of good options. So I was getting a little tired, but it was a really cool experience. I interviewed a bunch of players, spoke with Dave Roberts, all that kind of stuff. Got a lot of cool insight on just seeing where the team was at. Unfortunately, was there for the Gavin Lux injury, which was really tough to see. That was a pretty ugly injury. Watching it live and then just seeing him cry the next day when the news was announced, and locker room was a little different that day. But yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are in a very interesting spot, obviously, coming off 111 win season, then only winning one game in the NLDS, losing your division rival Padres. Then you lose a bunch of big names in the offseason, Justin Turner, Trey Turner, Cody Bellinger, Tyler Anderson. I mean, they lost a lot more than they got. So they're in a very interesting position. A lot of people don't even think they're the favorite anymore in the NL West, which...
Oh, I severely disagree with that.
Yeah, which honestly, it's interesting. And I will say, I mean, going into this, I was like, they have to be the favorite. No way. But then I was kind of just looking around the locker room, just seeing kind of playing with what I think the lineup's going to look like, a rotation. I don't think this team should be the favorite. I think the Padres have so much more talent. And on paper, the Dodgers aren't as stacked of a team as the Padres. Now, will the Dodgers still be great? Yes. Will they still win the division? Likely. But on paper, the Padres do have a lot more talent. With that being said, though, I think Max Muncy has a much better year this year. I'm still a little worried about Chris Taylor, but I think they have enough with JD Martinez as bad as their DH. So overall, I think they're still going to be great, but it's definitely not the same roster as last year, and you could tell. But being in the locker room, it was actually a really nice locker room. The players seem very lax. They seem like they really like each other. You could see the veterans kind of working with the young guys because there are a lot of young guys in that locker room. We hear all the stories about the veterans working with the young guys. So there's a lot to be excited about for the Dodgers, but it's not going to be the same as last year.
Okay, but maybe not the favorites on paper. That's super interesting.
I mean, if you look at that Padres lineup, that is a scary, scary lineup. It really is. I mean, they have some talent. Their rotation is the one question mark, especially with the injury to Joe Musgrove, but he'll probably be back. Blake Snell's iffy, but Yu Darvish is still there. I think their rotation is going to be good. So I don't know. I mean, the Dodgers, they won 111 games, but they lost a lot of those players. And I'm a little worried about their lineup unless they really get big seasons out of the young guys. So we'll have to see.
Okay, well, yeah, I still have the Dodgers walking away with this division. I'm not going to say easily. San Diego looks a little scary. Yeah. But if there's anything we know about the Padres in the past, they are historically not the Padres of the Dodgers, if you know what I'm saying. You talked a lot about all of these key pieces that we lost in the offseason. Who would you say we're going to miss the most?
Yeah, everyone likes to say Justin Turner because he was a leader in that clubhouse. We interviewed Max Muncy, who said Justin Turner did all the little things of making the group chats and setting up team dinners and building the chemistry. Now, the chemistry was honestly really good. I really think the Dodger team really likes each other. The new veterans they brought in are really helping the young guys and kind of working together. So for me, by far, the biggest loss is Trey Turner. I mean, that guy hitting in the #2 spot in the lineup, always getting on base, hitting 300 consistently, especially with the bigger bases this year and the new rules. He's going to steal probably 50-plus bases this year. Always driving in runs. He had the sneaky power. So I just think, and now you lose Gavin Lux, so you don't even have the shortstop replacement. Miguel Rojas has looked good early in spring as a hitter. He's a great defender, but that's not going to last. So Trey Turner has to be the biggest loss. I mean, if Mookie Betts gets hurt or struggles at one point, you're really going to feel the loss of Trey Turner because you're really going to lose a lot at the top of that lineup. And without Trey Turner, you're relying on the back guys more. And again, I'm really worried about Chris Taylor this year. I just don't think he's going to have a good year. So I think Trey Turner is a huge loss.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, especially with those bigger bases. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, he's going to steal 60 bases this year. I mean, he's so fast.
Yeah, and he was doing this on tiny bases.
Yeah, exactly. Now he has pizza boxes out there. Yeah. So no, I mean, he's going to, and pitchers can only pick off twice. So if they're gonna waste their pickoffs early, I mean, he's just gonna take off and he's gonna steal like every base in the world. I mean, he's probably gonna steal second and third every time he gets on base.
Yeah, these rule changes are insane. Yeah. What did that pitch clock look like in Arizona?
Physically or as a
let's go both.
Yeah, I mean physically, yeah, it's a big clock. You see it.
Yeah.
What was cool actually is so in the press box, the guy manning the pitch clock is right in front of me. First of all, really annoying because I hear a beep every time he has to play and pause it. But it is kind of interesting to think like this is a human being who's in charge of like doing it. Where like if he messes up, the umpires don't know. So it's a very tedious job of literally him clicking after the pitch, or like right when the pitcher starts his motion, he clicks so it stops. And then the second the pitcher gets the ball from the catcher, he starts it again. And he has to know when it's 15 seconds or 20 or 30. It's like a very tedious thing.
Okay, so is this going to be someone provided from the league or from each team? Because I can see the Padres specifically. I can see some teams, I clicked it a little late.
I should have asked him if he's working for the league, or I assume it'd be for the league because you don't want
that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really good question. It's probably something to look into. But yeah, he was just sitting in the press box. It's clear it's someone. I mean, I would assume it's a league person who just works for a specific team. I don't know how it works, but it was a very tedious job. But no, I personally love the pitch clock, especially after watching these World Baseball Classic games where there's no pitch clock, obviously. Some of these games are like 3.5, 4 hours long, and these are like playoff atmosphere. So when you get to the postseason, those games go on forever. So these new rules are going to speed it up, and watching a game with the pitch clock, it's just like nonstop action. Like there's at most 15 to 20 seconds if a runner's on base in between pitches where you can't really like look away. Like if you look away, you might miss a pitch, where last year, if you looked away, you could probably like order a pizza in between like two pitches. So I really like the pitch clock. There've been a lot of videos going around social media of like, watch the inside the park home run happen 7 times before Pedro Baez throws one pitch in between in a playoff game. It's like, who wants that? So I've loved the pitch clock. You can see with a few pitchers on the Dodgers, it's kind of, you can feel it. Like Alex Vesia, he had 24.8 seconds in between pitches last year, which will not cut it this year. We asked him about it. He said it's an adjustment, but he'll work on it. But it is cool. So far, I'm all for it, except for when it ends a game. Like there was that game early in spring training where
ridiculous.
Like that. They got to figure out something for that because you can't have a pitch clock violation ending a big game.
No, I definitely see them in the playoffs. Maybe adding a few seconds.
Add some seconds. You can't get rid of it because players are going to get used to it, but you got to at least like just push it up a little bit, you know?
Yeah, give them another 10 for the postseason.
Or like an extra timeout or something. I mean, whatever it is, because batters get one timeout. So like once the batters use their timeout, like Miguel Rojas was talking about it on the Chris Rose podcast, and once the batter uses their timeout, the pitcher now knows he's out of timeouts, so you can totally take advantage of a batter because then you can, it's called like freezing the batter, where the pitcher then just immediately gets ready and the batter is just stuck there like this for, if there's 12 seconds left on the pitch clock, the pitcher can stay there for all 12 seconds. So the batter is just sitting there, and batters don't like just doing that because it's so hard to focus for that long, and the pitcher can freeze the batter and then at like 1 second throw it, and the batters now had 11 seconds where they're just staring at the pitcher. So it could be used to an advantage. Hopefully it's not too much, but as far as the pace of play, it was so much nicer watching a baseball game that was just consistent action. The first game was 2 hours and 21 minutes. I mean, that was awesome. God, that was so awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be looking like an NBA game.
Literally, quicker than NBA games. I mean, it was awesome. I was a huge fan, and hopefully they tinker with it a little bit and kind of make it perfect. But in the first year, it's not going to be perfect. But overall, as a baseball fan, I much more enjoyed watching these games than I do the long, boring games.
Oh my! Especially being at these, middle of the summer in July,
hot.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
a Sunday,
as a season ticket holder.
Oh, a half season ticket holder.
Ticket holder.
Yeah, so that'll be good for me.
No, it was awesome. I mean, like you'll notice it more, I think, when you're at a game, because when you're watching on TV, you're kind of still like not like. I mean, no one like fully pays attention to a baseball game when they're watching on TV. But when you're there, you're paying attention more, and you kind of feel how quickly it's going. Like you look up, you're like, oh my God, we're already in the 4th inning. Like this is awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to experience this as a fan. I might go to a preseason game, that Dodgers Angels exhibition. I'm TBD on that one.
Well, I'll say hi to you.
I appreciate it. So have you seen examples of maybe a catcher delaying their throw back to the pitcher?
I haven't. I mean, that's a super interesting thing. Honestly, the only reason I said that was when the pitcher catches the ball, because that's when the guy in front of me was clicking it. Maybe he was kind of being a little more lenient, but no, I mean, there's no way it's when the catcher catches it. It has to be when he throws it. So yeah, I mean, that could be like a way to buy some more time, I guess, for a pitcher to kind of, like drop the ball. Like I'm gonna quickly, but I feel like maybe if that happens too much, umpires will kind of catch on. But that could be an interesting way to buy 2 or 3 more seconds for your pitcher. But also I know pitchers like having their routine with the ball in their hand. So I don't see it affecting too much because the pitcher's not going to start his routine until he has a ball in his hands, and then he can do his walk and whatever. But it is it could be an interesting way, in the playoffs especially, to just relax and because in those high intensity moments you want a time to breathe, and you won't have that with the pitch clock. So a pitcher throws a pitch, catcher takes a second, maybe. A good way to buy that time is to have the catcher throw to first if the runner is on. Because if the catcher throws to first, that gives you an extra 7 seconds of kind of throwing the ball and throwing the ball back. So that's a really good way to build time. But yeah, as far as catchers going slowly, I feel like the umpires would be like, what's going on? Throw the ball at your pitcher.
Okay, yeah. Are we gonna see some rules, some limits on catchers throwing to the first baseman next?
Right now, no, but they're probably gonna be coming if they start doing it too much. Because there's only 2 pickoffs allowed for a pitcher. So at some point, they're probably gonna say the catcher can only pick off twice too. But for now, that one's I guess a cheat for that, but also that's a risky throw because if you throw that away, that's a base.
well, I'm excited to see these potential cheats, if you want to call it, with the rule changes.
Yeah, people are going to find them. I mean, they always do.
Well, hey, there's teams that cheat without these rule changes, and they've gotten pretty far with it.
Yeah, a few World Series champions.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, we're talking about the Houston Astros, by the way. I just want to be very clear. Who's your favorite addition to the LA Dodgers?
Yeah, they made a lot of sneaky ones that are going to be good. The one that I was pushing for all offseason, I wrote 3 articles about it before anyone was talking about it. I got on a podcast before anyone was talking about it. That's Mr. Noah Syndergaard, not only because he shares a name with me, but I just felt like this Dodgers pitching lab with the pitching coach Mark Pryor would be the perfect people to kind of bring him back to his all-star form. He was an all-star in 2016, throwing 98 to 100 miles per hour. Then in 2020, he gets Tommy John surgery. Hasn't been the same pitcher. I think the Dodgers are a perfect team to bring him back to that form. So I'm very excited for him already in spring training. He's thrown 9.1 innings, 1 earned run on a home run that actually came after he had 9 full scoreless innings through 3 games. And then I'm like, take him out. They leave him in and he gives up a home run. So if you want to count his first 9 full innings, he went scoreless 9 innings, no walks, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts. That's a really nice line. Fastball only topped at 94, but I think he's improved by 1 mile per hour each start. Hopefully that keeps going up. If he can get to 96, I think my bold take, Noah Syndergaard is an all-star in 2023.
Well, hey, no disagreements here. All right, I agree with that. I agree with the Mark Pryor effect. Somewhere where there was some disagreements is with Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks in this week's Beef of the Week. This week's Beef of the Week is, you may have guessed it, between Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks. A few days ago, Draymond Green went on his podcast, a rant, if you will, for about 3 minutes on the beat, just talking trash about Dylan Brooks. He called Dylan Brooks an idiot. All right, he called him a clown. He really just tore into this guy. And, they played each other, the Grizzlies and the Warriors. Dylan Brooks had a pretty good game.
Good for his standards.
Yeah, good for his standards. But it was after the game, which is when this excitement came back. What did Dylan Brooks say to Draymond?
Yeah, it was in the postgame interview, which I wonder why they interviewed Dylan Brooks in that one. It's almost like they knew what they were doing. And he said, what did he say? You have it right here. Keep doing his podcast. He was like, you should give the mic to Draymond. He should keep doing his podcast. He called it cute. Fun. Yeah, he was lighting the fire on Draymond.
but look, to be fair, my mother has called my podcast cute.
Oh, well, maybe it was a nice thing.
Yeah, so it could have been a compliment.
Probably the way you said it, maybe not.
Yeah.
I feel like your mom probably says it with a nicer tone. I know your mom; she's much nicer than Dylan Brooks.
Thank you. I'm assuming that my mom's was meant in a nicer way to me.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I I want this to be an open and shut case immediately. I am not on Dylan Brooks' side. All right.
Hard to be.
Honestly, I agree with Draymond in this 3-minute rant. He was saying a lot of truth. Why are the Grizzlies talking about them being a dynasty when, wait, how many championships have they won?
0.
None. You can't bring all of this to Draymond Green, a 4-time champ, who is a pivotal piece of this Warriors dynasty.
There's that D word.
That's the D word. They are the dynasty in this situation. I understand in YouTube beefs of their respective weeks, I understand if you are smaller and trying to get more attention, you are going to attack a bigger entity with more followers or just more eyeballs on them, just so you can grab a couple, just so you can get your clicks. But in the NBA, in real life, it's really immature. It's really childish. But honestly, it's in tune with what we've been seeing from Dylan Brooks.
And it's in tune with what we're seeing with the Grizzlies. I mean, they have their own beef off the court going on. Yeah, I mean, Dylan Brooks is at best the 3rd best player on the Grizzlies, probably not even that high. Yeah, I mean, there's no point running your mouth against a guy who, not only a 4-time champ, the reigning champ. I mean, as of right now, the Warriors are the reigning champs. So, yeah, I mean, unless the Grizzlies can finally win something, they should probably stop talking, especially because of their off-the-court issues. It's not helping anything.
Well, hey, at least they have nobody to worry about in the West, right?
Yeah, nobody, except for now, the guy who said that isn't even playing. So.
Uh-oh. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Noah, I had an amazing time with you.
Thank you so much. It was so awesome. I am very happy to be on my favorite podcast.
Thank you so much. Favorite podcast. Big reveal for those that didn't know. Noah and I have been best friends for over 20 years, and this is really a surreal moment. We took some time before we started recording to just kind of savor this. How cool is this?
So, I mean, I'm when Gabe told me he was making a podcast, I said, this is awesome. This is the perfect person to have a podcast. He told me he wanted me on as a guest, and I said, it's the biggest blessing because Gabe and I have spent I'm 23 almost. So you spent almost 23 years talking about sports, and now we got to do it for all you guys. That's just really awesome for me. Very, very happy, and very happy for Gabe and his podcast. I'm, again, #1 fan of Small Talk Sports.
Noah, how can we find you on the internet to hear more takes and whatnot?
Twitter at Noah Camras, NOAHCAMRAS. A lot of Dodger stuff, a lot of Lakers stuff. That's the best place to find me. I tweet a lot, but it's a lot of good stuff. Hopefully, it's a lot of. I give analysis, I give news, and I also give my takes. Like to have conversations, so definitely that would be the place. I'm a big fan of Twitter.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We're here, 8 episodes in. I am absolutely loving the journey, and we got to a point where we have guests now.
You're growing rapidly.
I'm trying my best, but it's all thanks to you. Thank you. And Noah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Do you want to take us out? You just say Small Talk Sports and then it ends.
That would be awesome. Small Talk Sports.